Right, everybody, you heard it. We are live on Revolution Radio, Third Phase of Moon. I'm your host, Dr. J. Andy Elias. I got on the line Blake Cousins, the one and only. And we also seem to have Jack. Blake, why don't you tell us a little about Jack?
All right, well, exciting events happening right here at Third Phase Moon. We just covered the Serious World documentary. You were over down there. But we have our own full-length documentary, The Alien Human Project, which we just released right here at Third Phase of Moon to the public. We're not asking for money. We here at Third Phase of Moon believe the public needs to see this information, hear it, make their own decisions, but we're giving it out for free right here on YouTube, Third Phase of Moon, the world premiere, UFO sightings, The Alien Human Project. Check it out on YouTube, Third Phase of Moon. And yeah, we had Jack, a special correspondent, there on the scene. John, do we have Jack on the line here now?
I believe so,
Yeah.
Jack.
Yeah, hey, Jack. Mr. Jack
Hello.
Graham. He's 15 years old. He's a young documentarian investigator. I was really fascinated with the questions he was asking Dr. Roger Leir in regards to removing alien implants. Tell me, Jack, what did you learn from Dr. Roger Leir, and what did you think before you met him as far as the alien abduction phenomenon?
Well, I guess the only thing I needed before I came was an open mind. It's so much information to take in. But really, the main thing that stuck out to me is how, first of all, how lucky Dr. Leir is to find these implants and how much info these implants contain. Dr. Leir told me that they contain carbon microtubing, which could be used to store a lot of information and possibly transmit it back to alien UFOs. So there's definitely a lot of possibility for research there. And I feel like if he had more funding, this could definitely be one of the main things that could probably get us contact with aliens.
Absolutely. And, this format, a young man like yourself, 15 years old, asking these heavy-duty questions with, this Dr. Roger Leir, it was quite impressive just watching this whole production that we put out on Third Phase of Moon. Have you had a chance to view the world premiere? I think we sent you the link in private, and what did you think of it?
I did, yeah, I saw it, and I feel like it's tough to really capture all the, It's tough to capture all the way Dr. Leir states it through video. In person, he's very, not intimidating, but you can tell he definitely knows what he's saying, and he's very interesting in everything he says. I think the video does a really great job kind of portraying the one-on-one interview me and him had. And a lot of stuff came out in that interview, and it was definitely a great thing to watch, and it could be very important.
Incredible. Oh, right. Dr. Andy Elias, I know you got to watch the Alien Human Project last night exclusive. What did you come away with after you watched the documentary?
Oh, Blake, I gotta tell you and all the listeners out there, this is a very great documentary. Normally, you'd be paying $25, $30 for something, and the fact that you gave it for the world to see for free is just an amazing thing in itself. It's a very well-produced documentary, but the implications of what Dr. Leir's research has shown are enormous. For starters, the implants themselves, when they go into the body and when they're removed, there's no inflammatory response. Any physician out there will tell you anything that goes into your body, a splinter, a kidney transplant, anything has an inflammatory response. If the medical community just looked at these implants and figured out why they didn't cause such an inflammation, then that would just recreate everything. That could solve so many of the medical problems. On top of that, the technology that goes behind these implants is so far advanced that we're aware of. It's just mind-blowing. They're sending signals that are consistent with deep space, radio signals. They're metals that don't exist on Earth, and ratios that don't exist on Earth. There's just so much information. All you listeners out there, go on to YouTube, find Third Phase of Moon, and look for it. The Alien Human Project. It's an amazing documentary, Blake.
Exactly. Jack Graham also asked questions from the alien abductees themselves. One who wanted to remain anonymous, but she had implants removed from Dr. Roger Leir in the past, and they turned out to be extraterrestrial in origin. Also, Tim Collin. Jack, what did you think when you were interviewing these alien abductees? Did they come across as, was this kind of some kind of scam, or were they, the real deal?
At first, out of the whole craziness of it, you would think, oh, it has to be fake. And that's, I'm not going to lie, that's actually how I came into it. I had my doubts at first. But after I interviewed, all these people, I realized, their stories all had the same things in common. And plus, like he said, there's no inflammatory response. And plus, I think the really interesting thing is Dr. Lear is not doing this for profit. This is a non-profit organization that he's running, which really says something about the whole thing. He's not doing this for the money. He's not doing this for the fame. I think it's really, if this was a scam, it would be tough to fake. And I don't see the reasons for the scam. I think it's definitely legit.
Let me add one thing in there. On top of this, whatever Dr. Lear is doing, all the research, Dr. Lear himself invites the world to argue with the research, to argue with the academics. He's open to anybody looking at them, talking about them, and looking at the evidence, because once you look at it, there's no other way.
When Jack spoke with scientists and material, chemist, he was asking, some really big questions. But when Steve Colburn pulled the implant out, you were right there on scene. What were you thinking when you watched this object come out of this test tube, and what were your thoughts at that moment?
I honestly, my heart almost froze, because I knew I was looking at something extraterrestrial, something otherworldly that could be coming from God knows how many light years away. I don't know from what other solar system, maybe another galaxy, I don't know what. But when I looked at that piece, I was astonished, to say the least.
Jack, your thoughts?
Definitely, the moment I first laid eyes on it, it's so small that I guess it would be very easy to miss. And the moment it was unveiled to me, there was something, there was something clearly strange about it, And as I was explained to it, how they've noticed that when it was in the body, it released radio wave signals. I thought that was definitely the most telling thing about it. And I think, honestly, this could be a huge indicator of what's out there. And plus, who knows how many people these implants are inside? That's something to think about as well. Who else has these implants inside of them?
Over 2 to 4 million people abducted in the United States alone are some of the estimates of what's going on. And Dr. Roger Lear's managed to remove 16 implants, if I'm not mistaken. And, when Tim Cullen, at the very end, the abductee, said that he was, as the operation was happening and the removal of this implant, he could feel like it knew it was being removed, and it didn't really want to get removed. He felt like he was at one with this object, like there was some kind of, synchronized energy going on with this object, which is very amazing to me. And it would be advanced high technology in order for this to happen.
Absolutely. And this is, like I said earlier, this is mind-blowing technology. There's stuff there that just we cannot do. I mean, the nanotubes. And, when he first removed the first implant back in '96, technology has changed dramatically since then. The electron microscopes can look deeper and deeper and deeper. It was only recently, in the last couple of years, that Dr. Lear was able to discover that they're emitting a radio frequency. That's something that wasn't known 15, 20 years ago, almost 20 years ago, more like 17, 18 years ago. The other aspect of it is the nanotubes. That's something that was just discovered recently. And as technology gets better for us, we're going to be able to look even deeper into these things. But there's one thing that remains a fact. These do not come from Earth. That's a fact, not an opinion. That's a fact.
Now, I really want to thank Jack Graham for being on the ground, on location, and asking the world history, the questions from Dr. Roger Lear. And we got answers that we quite didn't expect, and the information came in, and it was absolutely amazing. Jack Graham, appreciate you being there and doing this amazing job.
Thank you very much. I had a lot of fun with the interview, and I definitely learned a lot so far.
If in the future, Third Phase of the Moon needs your young talent down there on scene in regards to the alien phenomenon, you can help us out right here at Third Phase of the Moon, right, Jack?
Definitely. Love Third Phase of Moon.
All right, appreciate it, Jack, and we'll see you soon.
All right, thank you. Bye.
You know, Blake, I believe it's the new generation, the young generation that has much more of an open mind that's changing the world. I mean, you got to remember, everybody's got to know this, is just common knowledge, that these young people are going to be the leaders of the world in 30, 40, 50 years. So if they're all having this open mind, the generation that has such a closed mind, the gap is finally getting there. So I think that may be one of the reasons why we're much closer to disclosure. You know, speaking with Dr. Lear, he's also going to be testifying at the citizens' hearing, and as is our guest, who's going to be joining us very shortly, is Richard Dolan. And I think just everything coming together at the same time, the release of this great new documentary, which everybody out there, you have to see it, at the citizens' hearing, all of this coming together, you know, maybe something is finally happening. What do you think, Blake?
You know, I think disclosure is just about to explode, because with the information coming in and this pinnacle with this meeting right there in Washington, D.C., I think the public and, like you said, the young generation are going to attach to the phenomenon and react in a way that will demand our governments, or at least our government here in the United States, to at least come forward and disclose what they know about the alien race. And the Alien Human Project, I think, is a great start to get the questions out there and get people excited about what really is going on over the skies of planet Earth and the universe.